Well, this morning we're going to continue our 8-week series called Next Move. And we've been looking, for those of you who are new, we've been looking at a series of decisions, the key decisions of life. And what we've said is our whole lives are a series of decisions, day by day by day, week by week, and year by year. We're making decisions, some small and some huge. And we need to understand what God would want us to do so that we can take next moves. And what we've said is that sometimes it seems like that those moves are kind of random. It seems like our lives are kind of these huge decisions, and we don't have all the facts. We don't have all the information. We don't always know exactly the way God would want us to make those decisions or what it is that we need to do next. And so what we've been doing is we've been looking at those decisions and how we need to move through those decisions in our lives. And so we've been looking at some of the big ones, right? We talked last week about sexual immorality. We talked about friendships before. We'll talk about money and finances. We'll talk about workplace, kind of how do you decide how you're going to interact with employers and employees in the workplace. So the big areas of our lives, we've been looking at how we make decisions. And this morning, we come to a key decision that we need to make, and it's in the realm of marriage. And so let me just go in and tell you, we're about to look at some of the most difficult, hardest, hardcore things that Jesus ever said in his whole ministry. So if you're new with us, welcome to Intersect Church, and you've probably never heard this kind of truth so much put in just a very bold, honest way. But Jesus said it, and we're going to talk about it. But I'm going to tell you, this is the kind of truth that I wish I could just get off of here, come sit down, and just kind of hang out with you guys. Let Jesus get up here and let him teach it, because it's so hard. And it is so difficult, and it's going to be so confusing to us. Some of us, we're going to be kind of left with what? Some of us are going to be like, man, that's so hard. I'm not sure if I agree with that. And so this is the kind of thing that I wish Jesus would get up here and talk about. I'd sit down there, and then I'd come back up here this next week, and I'd say, hey, we had Jesus here last week talking. What'd y'all think about Jesus? Everybody would be like, oh man, he's hard. I don't know if we want to have him back. And I'd say, yeah, let's not have Jesus back. and I would sit down and let him teach it. That's what I wish could happen. So here's what you need to understand. As amazing as this truth is that we're going to talk about, as hard as it is, as difficult as it will be for some of us to swallow, as challenging as it is for some of us to wrap our arms around and embrace, it is awesome truth. And it is what we need. You see, here's what you got to understand. The passage we're going to look at was never challenged for 300 to 500 years in the early church. Okay? So this passage, it was like a given. It was like a no big deal. And so what happened was, for the first 300 to 500 years of the church, marriage was seen as a high, honorable given in life. Okay? And so basically, the Christian marriages in the culture, people would look at all the Christian marriages and go, wow, those Christians are amazing. I mean, that's incredible. They stay together forever. I mean, those Christians, they stay together in marriage until one of them dies. I mean, this is like, wow, this is amazing that these Christians, when they run into hard times, man, they stick it out and stay together. Because you see, in that culture, all the pagans, all the Romans, all the Greeks, they were moving away from marriages, right? In a Roman culture, when this passage was written and when Jesus lived, you have to understand that the wealthier you were, the less likely you were to get married. Because you were so wealthy, you just hire slaves and have sex with them and have kids with them. And then when you died, you just give your inheritance to some responsible person to keep going with what you've started. But you would move away from marriage if you were a wealthy Roman. And so the Romans and the Greeks and the pagans looked at all of the Christian marriages and they're like, wow, this is pretty amazing. And you know what else? Christian marriages at that point in time, in those first 300 to 500 years, they were a safe place for women. Women felt very safe, very protected, very provided for. It was an awesome, awesome thing. And then what happened is Christianity became the official religion of Rome. And so now everybody's kind of moving toward Christianity. And over the hundreds of years, over the centuries, what happened is people started to look for loopholes. Started to look for loopholes in marriage. In other words, this is so hard, this is so difficult. Man, I'm just not sure about this. And so they'd want to get out of it.